Welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends. It certainly did for France.
That's a show ended.
Yeah, I think so. The show in wherever it was, Qatar, has definitely come to an end, and it definitely was a show a little bit. Really, it was.
They summed up pretty well with the theme park.
Theme park. That's right. Definitely a theme park. We're going to talk about Wycombe first, in fact, and then we're going to talk about the World Cup, and then we're going to talk about Team Club World Cup that was announced just a couple of days ago, and we're going to discuss what that would actually mean. Now, okay, if you're an Ipswich fan and you think I'm biased, hey, I've listened to all of yours on YouTube, and you definitely are as well. I would then suggest, I'm going to put underneath the time we start talking about the next thing. So if you are an Ipswich fan and you get bored about Wycombe, please just fast forward to the next bit. You might find that interesting. This is a football show, not just Wycombe. Okay, Wycombe. We beat them. We beat 1-0. Now, just to mention, Tafazoli wasn't playing, okay? And I couldn't for the life of me really work out what the flip was going on in the back line of Wycombe. But on top of that, I've just got to mention all the Ipswich comments about Wycombe, oh, cheating bastard, Wycombe do this, Wycombe do that, wasting time. The first line is, you have to be winning to waste time. We were winning. Ipswich weren't winning, they were losing. And in fact, Ipswich didn't have a decent shot on target. I can't really remember the goalkeeper making any great saves. Your goalkeeper didn't make any great saves. That's because it went in the net. Now, so to waste time, you do only waste time if you're winning, and you weren't. Whose fault is that?
And we should also point out that it's okay to waste time if you're winning.
Yeah, it's what you do in football. All the teams do. And if you don't, well, more fool you, really.
Do you reckon people argue that by saying we've become accustomed to time wasting because of the team we watch? That's what people will say, but everyone does do it, so does it really matter?
That's right. We can waste time a lot, but that's because we're in the top half of the Football League.
Speaking of Tafazoli, I actually have some inside details about him. I have some friends who now work at the beach house in Beaconsfield. And as you can imagine, Tafazoli has a lot of money. And I think he does live in Beaconsfield. So he has been seen having a salad or two with some other Wycombe players.
Is that the same time, the two salads?
At the same time, yeah. He's been having a salad or two in the beach house in Beaconsfield, which is a very well-to-do pub.
Okay.
No beers, apparently, so he's keeping his health, in check. So that's my thing about Tafazoli.
Okay.
Yeah, just thought I'd mention.
Yesterday, in the freezing cold, I have to say, Wycombe, the toilets weren't working.
Why not?
No, we had to use these plastic things outside, and not nice. Not nice at all.
Isn't this where you pee in a bottle and throw at the Ipswich fans?
No, not quite. Not quite. That was pretty disgusting. Wycombe controlled the game for the first 3 minutes. After that, it was like the Milton Keynes game, where Wycombe let them have the ball. We let them have the ball, and they batter us and batter us and batter us. We keep the ball out. Their shots, the best of their shots, went over the bar. That was about as close as they could get to the goal. They didn't really get that close to scoring a goal. And Wycombe got their goal, an excellent goal, I think. I think if that, as a Wycombe fan, you say that was a good goal. As an Ipswich fan, you would say shocking defending.
What's your centre back doing?
What's your centre back doing? I would question what your centre back was doing. I would think by now Ipswich fans would have turned off because they think we're biased. I think we had something like 27% possession only, but they played around with it. They just played around with it. And we stood there. We got our goal after 40 minutes. And for 50 minutes, they had the chance to come at us and score. And they didn't. And that is it. It was similar to the Milton Keynes game, except we didn't let any goals in. And that was Wycombe. That was great. I absolutely loved that game. I thought it was good. It was entertaining. It was fun. They got more and more frustrated. Did I think Wycombe really wasted time? I was very disappointed with one player who ran off the pitch when he was substituted. I didn't understand why he ran, but he did. And it wasn't the referee told him to do that. I don't think there was much. There was one guy that went down who was really injured, who they thought was wasting time, and I think he was really injured. But I don't think we did that much. A bit.
Who do you reckon's better wasting time, Wycombe or Argentina?
Well, that was it, really. Didn't Argentina? We don't hear that going on about rolling around on the floor, do we? And stuff. But anyway, you can believe what you like. It's an excuse for not being able to score a goal or anywhere near. And the fact of the matter is, had you had another 180 minutes, we would have scored a goal.
Maybe not.
And that, whose fault is that? Is what I would ask. Aren't you supposed to win? Aren't you supposed to score and not let any goals in? Wycombe scored and didn't let any goals in. They let goals in and didn't score. Well, whose fault is that?
So a rhetorical question you want me to answer?
No, you don't have to answer.
To be fair, it's the first time I've really realised that people really don't like Wycombe. Like, of course, like you have your teams who really don't like us, and that's fine. They just don't. But it does turn out that everyone doesn't like us particularly, which I don't know whether that makes us a little bit biased and we can't see it, and why other people don't like us. But it's funny. It's at the end of the day.
Well, I think
because people were like, "Oh, we can get given promotion every other season," and it's like, I don't think you can just hand over promotion too easily. And it's not like we're going to be paying the FA to help us out in that respect.
I think what you've got to remember is when Ipswich turned up, they had too many players to fit in the dressing room. They came with enough players that actually had to hang outside the dressing room, and all the equipment they bought was stashed down the tunnel because they couldn't get it in.
How do you know this?
Ainsworth said.
Yeah.
And they bring all this, and on the comments made by some of their fans afterwards, we need to get more players in. See, and this is the team we played, and we're playing above our weight as per normal, and we win. What do they want us to do? I don't understand what they want Wycombe to do. Let them beat us. I don't know what they think we should do. I mean, we've got to batter them, and that's how Wycombe get on in Division 1. If we let them walk past us rather than stick a boot in, we would lose. What do they want us to do? We can't play the football and beat these teams. They're rich.
Maybe that is what the people want us to do, is actually beat them with skill and technique as opposed to anything else.
But is that what teams like, I don't know, I mean, Bournemouth are supposed to do with Manchester City, play Manchester City off the pitch? Is that what they want? Bournemouth fans wouldn't expect it. And would Manchester City fans? How do Bournemouth beat Manchester. Who's beaten Brentford? Didn't they beat
Yeah.
Man? Now, how do Brentford beat Manchester City?
Counter attack.
Exactly, and that's what Wycombe do. So, what do you want us to do, guys? Do you want us just to let you win? No, of course not. We play football that we can play. If Ipswich met Manchester United in the FA Cup, what do they think Ipswich are going to do? You see, I don't know. It just seems a bit strange that all their fans that I've looked at on YouTube, and that's about eight, I think, eight, nine, 10, have all just moaned and groaned that they lost the game because we tried hard. Sorry, maybe we shouldn't try.
Do you know what would be funny? If this show was a bit bigger than it is, and we actually got like other Ipswich fans on here to tell us what we get John on here.
John, yeah, John's out there, isn't he? Are you out there, John? Should have asked you along.
We did last time, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, when we lost 4-1?
But I don't see John really effing and blinding us particularly.
No, it'd be interesting to get one of these. Get Wycombe fans. If you want to know what they said, just look up Wycombe versus Ipswich and find those Ipswich. They've got lots of Ipswich common traitors, fan accounts on here, and it's interesting looking them up because not many walked away saying we deserve to lose, and they all blame Wycombe for winning.
To be fair, I could easily go onto Twitter right now, type in Wycombe, and bring up some comments from Ipswich fans.
Then. Go on. Do it. And I'll just explain. At the back line, Wycombe's back line was quite interesting because we sort of had 4 and 3. And when we had the ball, it was 3. When we didn't have the ball, it was 4. And it worked like a beater on the left. I think I've got this right. If you disagree with me, I couldn't. It just kept swapping, and I was trying to work out how it was working because it was Obita, Mawson, and Grimmer. Okay, Grimmer and Mawson were in the middle. On the right, it kept changing, and one moment it was McCarthy, and one moment it seemed to be Grimmer with Wing coming back in that lineup as well. So McCarthy and Wing seemed to swap around and one would come back and the other one would then come back when we don't have the ball. I don't know what they were doing, but I think it was definitely something off of a training ground. I wish you'd been there to have a look and tell me I'm completely wrong and it was obvious, because I tried to figure that out all the time. Now, Scowen played his normal. He was the star of the show as per normal. He was everywhere over that pitch. I don't know how he does it. He has got so much energy. It's unbelievable. And he was the one they were booing when he got really knocked. I thought he'd be off. He just went straight down flat on his back, arms out. I thought he was out. They tried lots of different things to make sure he was okay. They thought he was wasting time. I don't think he was. I would agree that we did in other places. I don't think when he went out it was. And anyway, the referee can add the time on. I thought Wheeler had a really good game again as well. There was one point where he gave the ball away in a really bad place. But on the whole, I'm glad Wheeler's in the team. I think he is so helpful to that team. He's got to stay in. And Mehmeti didn't have a great game, but he didn't have much of the ball either, to be honest. So he had a bit of a tough game, really, for what he was doing. And interesting where he was playing. He was playing next to McCleary most of the time as a double act on the left-hand side. And Hanlon up front ran his socks off. Uh, Good goal from a Wycombe point of view, bad from an Ipswich, but I thought Hanlon was excellent. He did exactly what Mr. Sub doesn't do, and that is Vokes. Vokes doesn't run around the pitch because of his age, probably.
It's exactly the game that we need Hanlon to play when he does play.
Yeah.
Which he needs to do more often. It's exactly what he needs
to do.
He
took up their defence's time even when we didn't have the ball, because they had to run all over the place after him when we did, and he ran after them when they had the ball. I thought Hanlon, excellent. Who gets top marks? Well, I'd give top marks yesterday to Scowen and Hanlon. I thought not because Hanlon scored the goal, but because of the effort and the time, how he ran them into the ground, I think. Okay, comments from Ipswich fans. Have you found?
I've got particularly one bloke who isn't very happy and doesn't seem to be too happy in general. Hello, Harvey.
Hello, Harvey.
Wycombe are the most scummy, can I swear? Itty and knobbish football team I've ever seen. Giving it the big one to our fans at the end, brave to show off when there's a barrier and stewards between you, isn't it? Let's see you dance in May, mind the gap. To which, I mean, I don't want to show his profile picture. No. It's a 12-year-old kid wearing sunglasses in his profile picture. To which one of our fans replied, "Cheers for the points." And he replied, "We didn't need them. Thought we'd be kind and give them to the charity case that is Wycombe Wanderers." I mean, it's not like you lot actually tried to earn promotion. It was just handed to you, really. So Harvey,
not very happy.
So 12-year-old Harvey is not very happy with Wycombe, to which we do apologise. There was another one. I mean, it's a video, and I don't know what the contents of the video are, but special message to that gimp Alfie Mawson, wannabe pop star Gareth Ainsworth, and the twat case that is Wycombe in general.
It does make me laugh at.
To which this person's Twitter handle was called Tractor Boy.
Yes, Tractor Boy. Yeah. A lot of thought gone into that.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, let's be fair. We just wanted to give Plymouth a Christmas present.
Yeah,
top of the table,
because we know Plymouth will bottle it, so it's fine.
Yeah. It's going to be yours anyway. Ipswich. I think. In all honesty, I thought Ipswich looked really good, other than they couldn't finish.
You probably should have said that at the beginning.
Yeah, probably, but I did. I mean, they were class, all right? They were. I could see where the class comes from. You could see it on the pitch. I would think if they get their act together, normally I can see why they've only lost 3.
There you go. And one to us.
And the reason they've lost the one to us, because we play like we do. How do you think we're 7th in the table? And I was really pleased with yesterday. As for other things going on yesterday, interesting 1 or 2 little scores there. I mean, Burton, the 4 at the bottom. Okay, Burton lost 2-0 to Barnsley. Derby, who are now just above us by 2 points, I think. We're 7th. Derby are 6th. We are just that one little bit. They're only 2 points above us in the table, I think. But they got a whacking from Derby 4-0. So those 2 are in the bottom. The other one in the bottom lost to Plymouth 2-1. And the other one won. MK Dons won a game. But of course, who did they beat? Portsmouth. And if we have a little look at how Portsmouth are 10th in the table now. I mean, they're mid-table. But Kieran, Look, look. We look at they lost to MK Dons. Then we go back. They lost to Wycombe. Then they drew against Derby, drew against Morecambe, drew against Shrewsbury, drew against Oxford. And then we finally get to the game they won, which was against Forest Green, 1-0 at Forest Green. Then they lost to Charlton. They drew against Fleetwood. They lost to Ipswich. They drew against Plymouth. And then we go back to mid-September when they finally won their other game. They are in trouble. Their points are actually, I think, one of the lowest in the league for the last sort of, 6, 7, 8 games. They are actually on a going down point system for the past sort of 8 matches. They'd go down. I think if we were to put that, I don't have a thing to put them in order for the last sort of so few matches. I think Portsmouth would be in the bottom 4. Their manager, is he still there? Or they sacked him yet?
I can't remember who it is.
It's that funny bloke. I could look it up, but I shan't bother. So Portsmouth,
Danny Cowley, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Goodness sake, he can't last. If he hasn't gone already, I would think he can't last for 2 more minutes. Dreadful. Okay. Looking at one or two of the others, then we at the top there. Well, Sheffield drew with Oxford 0-0, so that didn't help them. But then, of course, Ipswich losing to Wycombe, it means they gained a point, which what an opportunity to have got some points. And Plymouth won. So there's your top 3: 1-1, 1 drew, and 1 lost. The rest of us are all nicely piled in there, and if you want to look at the league table, Wycombe, like I say, is sat nicely in 7th, just 2 points off of Derby. And then and we're only 4 points off of 4th, which is Barnsley. The other 3 are doing fine. So don't worry about the top 3. But that playoff place, we keep talking about that. And then we keep saying, not a hope.
We keep getting our hopes up, and then we go and lose to someone. We need to consistently beat the teams near the bottom or mid-table, because we seem to do well against the top teams, and we get out the results against the bottom 4 or 5. And then the mid-table teams, we just lose to random teams like Lincoln or Exeter or someone like that. And we just need to consistently get those points.
Well, we've got another one in the middle, sort of, 9th. Bristol Rovers. They've got 31 points. We've got 32. And it's Bristol Rovers, and we're at home on Boxing Day. Is one of the next ones. Let's have a look at our next game, though. Our next game, because is that our next game? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. And then we're away to Plymouth.
It's a difficult period coming up.
And then Peterborough and Sheffield Wednesday, and then Bristol Rovers again. So this sort of next month is a interesting one. They're all either mighty close to us by a point or 2, which includes Peterborough, or they're top.
Realistically,
Plymouth,
after
Sheffield Wednesday
set of games, we just need to stay in the mix.
Yeah.
And not lose 4 on the bounce kind of thing.
That's right.
Which is, like, it could happen pretty easily with those teams.
Yeah. 2 at home, 2 away. So we'll see. Taftoli was ill yesterday. I don't know what was wrong with him.
Bless him.
Yeah. but we did all right without him. We did all right. Although I have to say, Grimmer and McCarthy did worry me an awful lot during the game. Their first touches were always a bit on the wild side. Okay, going next. We'll finish the Wycombe bit here, and I need something so I can see clearly in this bit where we're going next. So I will hold my phone up, and then I can easily see in the where to cut to the next bit. World Cup final. We'll discuss the World Cup final, and then we'll go to the World Cup with the 48 teams, and we'll have a look at that. World Cup. Just watch. We'll hit the final.
Yeah.
Go for it.
That was fun, wasn't it? Well, as Michael said, in what year would it have been? 2015, 16 on our French holiday. Under trois chats. And the French indeed did do that in the first 80 minutes.
Yes.
They did not.
Just to say, I did say that in my sleep.
Yes, as opposed to a French person.
Yes, I do talk in my sleep, and we were in a tent.
Yeah.
And I said that during my sleep, which was a bit awkward in France.
He subsequently got sent to a different field.
Not because they heard that.
Not because they heard that, because of his loud snoring.
Yeah.
But is very, very true considering France's first 80 minutes. I assumed it was because of the supposed virus that's been going around the French camp. They did not look like they wanted to be there, particularly the French. Argentina just controlled everything, won everything, and probably should have finished. They got one more, then they would have finished it off, kind of thing. They didn't do that. Otamendi decided to turn back into his old self and give away a silly penalty, and Mbappe decided to become a football player again, in which he looked unbelievably good. But as you said from our World Cup preview show, Argentina gone and won it.
I've said it all the way through. Argentina will win it, but I thought France looked a really good team and possibly better than. But I thought Argentina were always going to win it, and Argentina saved their best game till last, didn't they?
They've up until the semi-final, they'd never looked that convincing whenever they'd won, with like itty bitty 2-1s against Australia and that sort of thing. But the first 80, they were so good. The first 80, Di Maria was just, he had them on toast.
He did, didn't he?
Who else? Alvarez didn't stop running. Messi had a couple of moments. He didn't do an awful lot, in all fairness. And the defense looked solid enough. They just looked so confident, Argentina.
Yeah.
And then 2 minutes completely changed that, and it looked like they were going to bottle it.
80 and 81, and it was 2-2.
Yeah.
Do you think the right team won it? That game, but the World Cup.
I mean, we never kind of over the world. I don't think they were great.
Do you think anybody?
I don't think anybody.
Because I don't.
Do you know what?
I thought it was a crap quality
in terms of
football.
In terms of a team who beat the most top quality teams, Morocco.
Yeah,
they beat 3 of them, and came very decently close to beating France. But I mean, France weren't particularly convincing. Argentina had the first 5 games in which they definitely were convincing. They saved their best for the last 2 games. It's not like the Spain of 2010 when they just looked up and above everyone else and looked absolutely amazing. Yeah, very strange World Cup.
It's been strange. I thought the entertainment has been good. The idea, teams knocking each other out and the little teams knocking the big teams out. We got African team in the semis, etc., was good. But still, it was France and Argentina in the final, and we knew it would be, and still Argentina won it.
yeah, the entertainment aspect was second to none in terms of a World Cup. The quality was the lowest I've seen. Well, I've only seen like three, I think, three or four, and it was the lowest by a mile.
I'm going to, okay, we'll come to a little thing in a moment, but that'll link up nicely. We're going to talk about the World Cup for a few weeks yet, because I think there's a lot to sort of digest in there. And it's also worth mentioning Gareth Nobed has just taken the job on for longer. Does that mean that's the end of our European chances in a year and a half? It is, isn't it? That's the end of that one.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Again. Yeah. I mean, I kind of was under the impression he was going to stay on. He had that contract.
Well, he had his $5 million a year wages. Is one of the things that might influence you. And let's be frank, does this mean we have the same team play again?
Yeah. What are the changes he could make based on age? It's all quite a young team. Henderson might not be there, and Maguire not be, but only Walker might not be. Hopefully, by that time, he's actually grown up and decides to put James or Trent in at right back. But it'll be the same team, unless there's no new up and coming star. But I don't see where they're going to come from. Maybe Sancho might actually kick a football properly again.
You see what made a difference in the World Cup final was France subbing and taking a risk and doing it, getting on with it.
Subbing at the 40th minute.
Yeah, and he got on with it so that those players can get into the game. But Gareth Nobed doesn't do that, does he?
No, he brings Grealish on the 96th minute.
You see, when people pat him on the back, can I just make this fact about England? And it's an important one. We've discussed Wycombe Wanderers beating Ipswich. We've discussed where Wycombe are and how we have to beat teams above us who are richer and you could argue better at football, as Mr. Oxford manager would suggest they are over Wycombe as well, that they're better at football but lost. We have to be better at winning. Do you know, well, you do know because I told you that England haven't beaten a team higher than their ranking for 20 years now. 2002 was the last time England have beaten anybody above their own ranking, and that was Argentina, as it so happens. Now, unless he can beat anybody above our ranking, we can't win a thing. Now, some managers can do that, but some managers can't. I mean, he can beat Senegal, and some managers can't beat the lower teams. On the other hand, we drew with America. But he has never beaten a team higher than our own ranking.
In terms of teams in the top 10 of the world rankings, which doesn't mean a heck of a lot sometimes, we've played them 24 occasions under Southgate. We've won 4. One of them was that Germany team who aren't the same Germany team. 2 of them have been Spain. And then I think we beat Croatia once. That is it.
Above our ranking?
No, that's in the top 10.
Oh, I see. Right.
But we played the top 10 teams 24 times. We've won 4.
Right. But we have won none above our ranking.
None above our ranking. No.
So we won't win under him. I'm sorry. I don't care how many times people pat him on their back. What's all this coming up? Sorry. Keep getting things on our screen.
It doesn't come up on that screen. So
no. Why didn't it go away?
Just leave it.
Um, so I don't know why people can pat him on the back and think we're going to win anything with him. We are not, and it really, as far as I'm concerned, it's as simple as that.
No, and the problem is that in terms of when we do replace the manager, which we will after the next one, hopefully, if they give him a new contract, it's going to be miffed.
Look on the bright side, you're going to outlive him. So at some point in your, I'm not. That's the trouble. He still might be around when I die. So at least you're going to outlive him. So they will have another manager before you die. It's not necessarily the case for me.
The problem is they want an English manager, and there aren't any out there who are winners. There aren't. There really aren't. So we're going to have to look abroad, which is fine. Like plenty of other nations have done that and won with other people in charge from different
Who
countries.
is the most successful England manager knocking around that we could pick? Who, if you could get, who is the most successful? Somebody that's won things. Anybody?
I'm trying to think of actual English managers that are about at the moment who could. We've got Eddie Howe,
who's never won anything.
The Championship, if that counts at all. In terms of actual big trophies, no one's ever won anything. You have Lampard, Gerrard,
deflated.
Scott Parker, maybe. Scott Parker.
Deep breath.
I'm
going to do yoga. Calm my mind.
Is that it? That has to be someone else. But the fact we can't think of them probably shows a lot. Neil Warnock?
We're in trouble, aren't
Sam
we?
Allardyce?
If they pick English managers, we're in trouble.
Yeah, we are. There is no one.
No,
which is fine.
Maybe this is where Gareth Ainsworth comes into play. Gareth, there might be a job for you, mate. Yeah, you beat teams above us, so maybe you could be next on the list.
Graham Potter, there's your one.
There's your one.
Who could?
Might. Graham Potter.
Do you know what? I've just looked up English football managers. 6th on the list comes Gareth Ainsworth. So there you go. He's got some stature. He comes above Roy Hodgson.
6th.
Steve McLaren.
Blimey. Oh, God, no.
Steve Bruce. He's not got a job at the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
That's true. He's never done England.
Under English managers, you've got Sven Goran Eriksson. I'm not sure he's English. Stuart Pearce. Sean Dyche. He's not got a job.
Well, there you go, people. There you go. What the flip do we do? Okay. That's why this guy has still got the job, isn't it? Simply because they couldn't come up with anything better. No. Right. Okay, then. Okay. Moving on about the World Cup, because I'm sure we'll come back to the whole tournament thing and how I've just got to finish with this bit. Just got to finish the World Cup bit at the moment with this. Didn't Messi look a complete dick in that robe? What a cruel thing to have done. All they needed was a daft hat to go with it, and he could have been a wizard or something. Give him a little wand. What do you think?
Of all the moments to make him wear it as well, and like the most iconic photo from this
brilliant. He should have taken his top off and just worn that sort of naked underneath with some fishnet tights or something, just to make him look. I thought that was cruel. The poor bloke. And had he taken it off straight away, what would have happened? They probably would have shot him. So there we go.
Speaking of being shot, Martinez might, the goalkeeper.
Yes. I mean, I don't know whether everybody bothered hanging on for this bit. What he got his trophy for best goalkeeper, the golden hand or whatever it is, the goal in his case, the golden arse, and it looks like that. He did two things with it. The first thing was he held it down there with the thumb sticking out, if you know what I mean. And the second one, he could, yes. Oh dear. Okay, World Cup next. Is it next time?
With 48.
Yeah. They're up in the numbers from 32 to 48. We've discussed this they're not quite sure how to do it yet, whether to have 3 teams in each group. That doesn't really work. And very simply because they wouldn't have had the fun that they've had this time, it couldn't work. You couldn't have ended up with teams like Morocco getting to the semis and stuff. It would have been it would have bored this one had they done it 3 teams in each group. So now they're looking at putting 4 teams in each group, but it doesn't add up. So they might have to let a few third teams in, or there's another way of doing it, and that is to take the top 2 teams out of each one, and then the others have a quick knockout competition to get them in, and then you end up with your 16. They're not sure what to do now because they decided on the 48 because they wanted the money. Now they make that decision and then start looking at, now how do we do it? Instead of looking at would it work and then announcing it, they've done it the wrong way round, and now they've ballsed it up. But I just quickly want to look at this. Okay, I want to look at if there'd been 48 teams in this tournament and they're going to let them in as they're going to let them in next time, so we can actually work out who would have got through the 48. So we're going to look at the difference the 48 would make. So are you ready for this? Because I didn't even recognise some of the names of the countries, to be perfectly honest, which I thought was really quite funny. So the proposed for the next time, this time, these are who would have got in, because they're going to give Africa 9 spots. This time they had 5. Asia are going to have 8. They sort of got 4.5 last time because there was a knockout bit. The CONCACAF, what the bloody hell is that? Africa. What? Not that one.
That's North America.
Okay. They're going to get 6, and they got 3.5. And South America are going to get 6. They had 4.5. Oceania are going to get 1. They've normally got 0.5. And Europe 16 instead of 14. And obviously, if you see what I mean about the 0.5s, they had to have a playoff to work out how many.
Africa are going to benefit, aren't they?
Africa are going to benefit. Okay, so let's deal with the African one. 9 spots from 5. Who would have made it this time? Okay, well, Algeria, Cameroon, Ghana, Morocco, Senegal, and Tunisia got through, but the extras would have been Egypt, Mali, I think I'm pronouncing that, and Nigeria.
I think it's Mali.
So he would have got there. But in the playoff spot would have been DR Congo. Okay. Now the AFC is now 8 spots instead of 4.5. This time was Australia, Iran, Japan, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, and of course, Qatar got in as host. Here we go. Oman and the United Arab Emirates would have been at the World Cup. Okay. Oman would have been at the final. And Iraq would have been in the playoff. The CONCACAF this time was Canada, Costa Rica, Mexico, and the United States. You can add Jamaica and Panama.
Panama were the last one, to be fair.
And El Salvador would have been in the playoff. In the CONMEBOL,
South America.
All right. We got Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, and Uruguay. You would have got Colombia and Peru with Chile in the playoff. In the Oceania Football Confederation, you would have had New Zealand, and in the playoff, you would have had Solomon Islands. Solomon Islands could have got into this cup in a playoff.
Wasn't Australia from there?
No, they come from they count as slightly off in a different bit.
Okay.
In UEFA, the 16 up from 13. Okay, so this time we've got Belgium, Croatia, Denmark, England, France, Germany, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Serbia, Spain, Switzerland, and Wales. You would have added North Macedonia, the Ukraine, and Sweden
and Austria
in the playoffs. And the fun part about that is, can you believe?
Still no Erling.
No Italy.
Oh yeah.
They wouldn't have got through had there been 48 teams.
Still no Norway.
That's right.
Ireland is still not there.
No. And we could go down and take a look on how would have had to split it into the groups to see who would have played who. And some of those groups are pathetic. The teams that would keep getting through that World Cup would have been ridiculous. And it's just got a little bit out of hand, one feels. But anyway, that gives you a clue what we're going to get next time. That sort of quality, like El Salvador.
It'll be 12 groups with the 8 best third team, won't it? So they do that in the Euros anyway.
Well, they've already got on the table 64 teams as a possible. All right? With those teams getting through.
Beaconsfield will get through.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, Scotland might actually stand a chance of getting there. They wouldn't have to play for Argentina. No, he was Irish, wasn't he? Yeah. McAllister, was that his name? Yeah. Okay, so that's the 48. I just thought that'd be interesting to have a look to see what we can expect next time. Next topic. I'm going to hold this up again because I'll put the time down and say, blah, 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 blah. And then it's easy for me to find when I'm doing the stuff. Have we all seen, I don't know, it's sort of well hidden under there, not discussed. I haven't seen Gary bring the topic up, but then probably he would have had to do some studying of something like football to have brought the subject up, rather than having a holiday for a month.
In fairness, they've just said it. They haven't even spoken about it.
And what's his name? The other Muppet on BBC?
Not Shearer.
No, the other one. Ferdinand. Well, I've had a great time seeing it live. Yeah, well, thanks very much. We're at home. You're supposed to be advertising that, mate. Not saying, you lucky bastard, we're here. Not like you poor people at home. Idiot. And Murphy was the other one that came out with one of the best comments of the tournament, where he sat there and made the comment they'd all probably be better off just playing their own game rather than actually playing a plan. Anyway,
I quite like Danny Murphy, actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why? Because he's funny.
No, he's better than Genus.
Okay, here's the thing that has just been announced. Now, it already exists, but nobody knows it exists. Who are Chelsea? You know this. You can see what it says. FIFA announces plans for expanded 32 team club World Cup from 2025. So, Kieran, who currently is the World Cup team? Do you know who hold the trophy?
Um, they didn't do it this year because of this World Cup, but I'd imagine it would have been Real Madrid. Who won it before them? Was
No,
it
it's
Bayern?
Chelsea. Chelsea.
Oh, of course it is
See,
Chelsea.
so that's how much we really care about it at the moment because there's only 7 teams in it. Okay, there's only 7 teams where they want to up it to 32 the Club World Club,
Struggling to say this, aren't
the Club World Cup. Okay, so Chelsea are holders. Um, Now this is going to be an interesting one because what they're intending to do is the calendar will be altered for 2025 with an extended break during the Premier League season, where you take in 4 matches in late September and early October, and replacing 2 separate windows in September and October. And you actually shut down in November, March, and June as well. So you have these little pockets to play these games. Now, do you think anybody's going to give a monkeys, or do you think this is going to be good? And I'll say why. And I'm almost wishing they'd scrap the World Cup and do this as a World Cup, as a 32 team club World Cup, because I think quality is going to actually be miles better than the World Cup. Do you think I'm right?
No, because you'll have your decent teams from Europe, but name me a team from outside of Europe. Because surely, I don't know how you even get into it to begin with, but what I'm guessing is that you're going to have your top 16 from Europe, i.e., whoever gets into the last 16 of the Champions League, and then you kind of do the same thing for the other continents.
Yeah, the African team.
Yeah, but you give them like 4 and whatever because of that. Because FIFA do have rankings for the clubs as well. Maybe they'll do it on rankings. I don't know. Um, but the thing with the Club World Cup in general is that the European teams always win it anyway. But I think there was once in which they didn't. But it just seems a bit. It's going to like if they do it like a group stage and like they do the World Cup now, you'll have all the European teams as your last 16, and it'll just be the Champions League again.
Do you think that's what they're wanting it to be?
Well, I think they're doing it to try and expand football to the other continents because at the moment it is all in Europe, and your best players go to America to essentially retire for a couple of months. I suppose they're trying to expand it to the other continents through this competition. Will that work? It's going to take a long time. People aren't going to just do it straight away. I think the thing that the other continents clubs need to do first and foremost is stop buying players when they're 36. Because this is what America tends to do: is that they get them all when they're old and decrepit.
And they all played in the World Cup this year.
Yeah,
all the old and decrepit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They need to actually try and get these players when they're younger to kind of bolster the quality of the league as opposed to make it a retirement home. And that's what they're going to have to do. But whether they do it, I don't know.
Would you be interested in watching this?
Oh, of course, I'd watch it. As opposed to I still buy things that I know are awful. but I enjoy it. I enjoy football, and therefore I would watch it. And if Liverpool won it, I'd be over the moon. But do I think it should happen? Probably not. Does it need to?
How's this going to work with numbers of games for the Premier League?
Oh, that as
It's
well.
going to completely disrupt our Premier League, and it's supposed to. They're talking about doing it every 4 years
Yeah. Well, I mean,
as well. You
this
see,
is
so it's getting a bit. I mean, what happens then?
this is why Jurgen goes on about the number of games all the time, and this is why I spoke about it like I don't know how many months ago. But the way a player's 12 months goes is that in during the season when they have football games, their physical state does not improve or does not improve by much. And if they have even more games, that period of time during the summer, which is only about 2 months and isn't even that much anyway, is going to decrease even less, and their physical state is going to decrease even more. And so, therefore, the chance of injuries and their actual ability to play will be reduced. It won't be so evident, but that will occur. Um, and it's just something that doesn't need to happen. And it's more football for. I mean, would footballers enjoy it? I guess they probably would. But from a logistical point of view, in terms of will they be better footballers as a result of it? No.
It seems to me like everything is getting. I mean, I think I'd quite enjoy it. That's true, but but it does strike me that that is the problem. Is that you can only play so many games. And where does all this go with the League Cup and the FA Cup and this cup, that cup, the other cup? It, you've got there's just too many.
Does it also?
You
It
just
almost
gotta take a deep breath and say, okay, let's look on how many games per year should a player, for their own well-being, play, and you come up with that number based on medical grounds, and you look at what how long should the holiday be for them to get the best out of them, and then you can then start putting a calendar together, and you do it that way round. You don't.
for the best part of June, July, and August, that is when footballers should not be playing football week in, week out, in the intensities they are.
And if they doing too much, then you've got to whittle something down or remove it. You don't just keep adding for money, because if you keep doing that, the games are going to get less quality and the players are going to be injured
You
most of the time.
you will find that when the Premier League comes back, the teams who have had the most players out there will suffer the most because, like the last month or month and a half, I can guarantee you, Haaland has been working his bum off in the gym. He's going to be even stronger than he was before, and it's going to absolutely terrorise teams.
Okay.
As with the other players who have had time off.
Do we know who's had most players out there? Or
Uh,
shall I look it up?
Wasn't it United?
Should I look up
Okay.
where all those players have come from? And then we'll finish with this. But if we have a look, and then we can judge the teams that we think could easily start going downhill. Brighton had a lot of players out there, for instance. Can't remember who they played for. A lot of Brighton players. Well, there was one in the final,
Right.
wasn't there?
Well, you had McAllister.
Yeah. Was it Australia they all played for? Brighton.
I don't know. Right. So you had two at Bournemouth, but both played for Wales. So
Oh well, that won't count. No.
10 for Arsenal. Are you writing all of these down?
Yeah.
4 for Villa.
Yeah, I've put little against Bournemouth because
Yeah.
sorry, Villa,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
6 for Brentford.
right.
8 for Brighton.
Yeah, I knew there was
It's quite a lot.
Yeah.
They all played for Ecuador.
Oh right, I knew there was one team that they seemed to.
12 for Chelsea.
Oh.
2 for Palace. Seems a bit harsh. 4 for Everton. 6 for Fulham. 3 for Leeds.
Yeah.
7 for Leicester. 7 for Liverpool. Here's the big one. 16 for Manchester City. 13 for Manchester United. 5 for Newcastle. 5 for Nottingham Forest. 2 for Southampton. 11 for Spurs. 5 for West Ham. And 5 for Wolves.
Well, in theory, then that should help. I mean, if you look at the sort of reasonable teams, Bournemouth, fine, but teams like Villa then and Palace should improve, and Everton should improve, and Fulham, and the teams that should suffer the most would be Manchester City, Spurs, Man United, and Chelsea,
and Arsenal.
And Arsenal aren't too far off. So Liverpool have actually done all right out of that gear, and they come mid-table 7. So that's going to be interesting. Well, I'll keep hold of those statistics, and we can look at the players because we can find out which players when they start getting injured. We can see why, and it'd be interesting to keep our eye on that. Anyway, we'll finish there. We've got loads we can still talk about, and loads we will talk about to do with the World Cup, etc., as weeks go on. And Ipswich fans, if you're still there, I doubt if you moved on to get here, well done. And I hope you found it interesting, everybody. Probably not, say everybody, that's usually about 10. So, Kieran, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.